Well, hello everybody, and welcome. It's just another stunning evening here in Bonnie, Scotland. Weather's been great. As you can see, we're by the river.
Yeah.
This feels pretty familiar. Barges behind me. And how's the day been for you, Rich, hiking?
Yeah, as you can see, beautiful day in Scotland. Went to Falkirk Wheel, where it's this mechanism that raises boats, big heavy boats, what, 27 meters or something, up into the air, all kind of using the weight of counterweighting, and so there's very little energy or electricity used to do it, which is amazing.
It's an absolute feat of human engineering.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
After this, not yet, but it's worth Googling Falkirk Wheel, and you'll see it. It's incredible. It's instead of having loads and loads of locks to raise the river level, they just
do one big.
It's unbelievable. By the way, thank you for the feedback, and numbers of you agreeing with me that the word vlog sounds horrible. It sounds like a body, motion. And someone came up with a brilliant suggestion today. I don't know who you are, but thank you for this. They said we should be calling this a plodcast. A plodcast. Because we're plodding.
Right.
Don't you think that's good?
I mean, it's a bit of a dad joke, but...
Well, so Rich, tell us what young people think of that.
I still think video diary makes the most sense.
Yeah, I know, but you argued for video diary after we'd launched it as hashtag the Pilgrim podcast. So you're now trying to claim credit for something it was too late.
I was just saying the way we refer to it moving forward, we could maybe adapt to video diary. But Plod, we can see.
It was BC, before Charlie.
Yeah.
It's okay.
To Charlie.
We realised must as well talk about Charlie as if he's dead. He's not. He's fine.
He's having a great time.
He's just got a dodgy foot.
Yeah.
Hello, Charlie.
Hey, Charlie.
Charlie watches this incessantly.
Anyway, but maybe people can decide on that, whether a plod or a video diary works better.
Yes.
But we got majorly off topic there.
We did.
We're talking about your new life rhythm.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Sammy, my amazing wife, Sammy and I live most of our lives on a river, very like this one, on a 60-foot long, 9-foot wide, technically it's called a wide beam. It's 7 foot, up to 7'10" wide is a narrow boat, and then anything over that's called a wide beam. And we absolutely love it, Rich.
It sounds really romantic, sounds beautiful, sounds idyllic. But also, I feel like I'll never do it. And why? What actually compelled you to do that? To pack up and live on a barge?
So a barge is very slow. It literally, as we're going cruising down the river, dog walkers overtake us. So if you've got any kind of A-type drive, it drives you insane.
Yeah.
Because your instinct is get places as fast as you possibly can.
Yeah.
But as we chug up and down the river at this beautiful slow pace, I do meditate a lot on Psalm 23. He leads me beside quiet or still waters. He restores my soul. And there is something restorative about quietness and stillness.
And that reminds me a lot about today's Lectio. How you spoke about God being a 3-mile-an-hour God, and what a barge must do something similar.
Yes, I mean the guy who wrote that was talking about God moving at walking speed, but so barges are even slower. So a barge is officially slower than God. I love doing today's lecture because I think most of us minister not out of our greatest strength, but out of our greatest weakness.
Yeah.
I've noticed that a lot of great leaders, whatever they're sort of famous for, when you get to know them, you find that's actually their struggle.
Yeah.
And so here am I, someone who gets too busy all the time.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm most interested in is slowness. There was a journalist who wrote, "Atheism is the religion of the busy." And of course Psalm 46 says, be still and know that I am God. And one translator paraphrases that, because the word there for be still is vakare, which is the word that we get vacate or vacation from.
Right.
Okay? And so someone paraphrases be still and know that I'm God as this: take a holiday from being God and let me be God.
Wow.
Isn't that cool? There's something about slowing down that
Yeah.
allows God to be God and says,
Yeah.
I'm not.
That's amazing.
And then, you know, Frederick Buckner says the only person who never had a Messiah complex
It's Jesus.
is the Messiah.
Yeah.
And that's today's Lectio. You know,
Yeah.
he only had 3 years to save the planet, and he still had time for parties and picnics and fishing trips.
Yeah.
And you said this thing I actually really loved a few days ago of, isn't it just walking? Like,
Yeah.
and I said, yes.
Yeah.
And actually, we need to rediscover the lost art of being underwhelming and being underwhelmed,
Yeah.
and finding God in
Yeah.
the underwhelmingness of life,
Yeah.
rather than the hype of life, right? So I've been watching you kind of slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
I've also been watching you when the camera's not on, working really hard.
Yeah.
Because unlike me, when I walked this on my own, I had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
In October, it gets dark by like 6 p.m. and it doesn't get light till 7 a.m. So that's a long night in a cold tent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but you've been working sometimes past midnight editing these plodcasts,
Yeah.
and
Video diaries,
obviously we record, then you have to edit.
Yeah. Yeah. Recording and editing
The Lectios.
Yeah. And then learning how to cover for Charlie at the moment.
And you've just become a full-time photographer as well.
Yeah.
Which he's nailing. You've got the pictures you're going to see in the book. Amazing. That Rich came on this as a sound engineer, and he will return having effectively become a published photographer. Isn't
It's
that
a
crazy?
very strange thing. Very grateful. So with that, there is this balance. I feel like on some level, I am learning to be still. And there's some moments where on the walk I can start to feel, okay, that I'm actually relinquishing the wheel of my life.
Yeah.
I'm letting go of my Messiah complex. I'm going to stop trying to make my life happen, and I'm going to let Jesus take over.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, it's shamefully in a way, like been working really hard on this thing.
It's kind of hectic, isn't it?
Yeah, on this thing that should be a thing of going slow and steady. And in some ways I think, I'll go slow and steady and do a second pilgrimage from this pilgrimage when I get home. But yeah, so it is a difficult thing to get. And there's even times that I'll be walking, meant to be slowing down, and I'm either taking pictures or whatever, and then I look at the time and I think I've got to make sure that we don't burn too much daylight before getting to the end and recording Lectio, recording the vlog, the podcast. And sometimes I find I actually start running. On this time that I'm meant to be going at 3 miles an hour, I try and double it to get to my destination. So I still have a lot to learn, and with that, Pete, you're someone who's modelled that in
in your manic lifestyle.
But you've modelled that of taking those 3 months out 18 months ago, and you've modelled that in literally moving on to a steel can to slow right down. But not all of us are going to be buying a barge. And what does that look like for us? What are things that we can do in our lives to slow down at the speed of God?
Well, the thing you're going through is what probably almost everyone watching this is going through.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be easy to see us as in this idyllic state where we're just skipping through the hills talking to Jesus, whilst people watching this are having to raise kids, do jobs, cope with illnesses, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the reality is, even here, you are having to wrestle with the same tensions everyone does, which is responsibilities and pressures and expectations,
Yeah.
external, internal drives, and balancing that with the time there is in each day where you can slow down, right?
Yeah.
Where you can choose to walk and not run by the riverbank or whatever.
Yeah.
So let me put the question back onto you, Rich. Like, how, in your normal life, how, I know you've thought about this. This isn't the first time you've processed any of this stuff. How do you saunter? How do you find holiness of God, the presence of God in a frenetic world?
Yeah. Okay.
Be practical.
Yeah. So practically, one thing really simple that happens every day is I love to make my coffee in one of those stovetop coffee mocha pot things.
Yeah.
And just getting away from the kind of instant click and your coffee's done. But
it's kind of appropriate. There's some, I don't know if you can hear this, but there's some pounding techno. It's like is it demonic?
It's the resistance to our unhurried lives.
Look at this, this is awesome. I don't know if you can see this, but there's someone cycling. So this is on a towpath designed for pit ponies. And he's cycling as fast as he can with techno on. Now look, I'm not hating on him because good for him.
Yeah.
He's out there getting fit in God's creation.
Yeah.
But it's kind of exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. And then something that I found helped me through lockdown and through dealing with Callie's illness at that time was we had this little terrace garden, and during that time I kind of planted things and rearranged it, built a little pond in there with a water feature.
It can't be a very. I've been to your gardenette. It can't be a very big pond.
No, it's like that big. So
Sweet.
it was a pot plant that I just buried into the ground.
Very Japanese.
So and now something I love, especially in the summer, is to wake up early, go out there with a hose pipe, and to when the water ban's not on, and to just water the yard. And there's something about that slowness, that being in God's nature, that just helps me to just again go, oh, hello God, you're here.
Yeah.
So,
That's really helpful. So you make coffee slowly. Sometimes you switch your telly off and you do a spot of gardening.
yeah, quite simple, but it really helps.
And can we just finish with a moment of confession? It's good for the soul.
Yeah.
Not filming, what we're doing, recording, audio recording.
Oh, yeah.
Today's Lectio 365, which was about God sauntering.
Yes.
And a spirituality of walking.
Yeah.
Being slow.
Being slow, unhurried.
And after me speaking a couple of days ago about patience.
Yes. Patience and presence.
We were recording it in the van. And the van, we turned the recording studio by basically hanging blankets and like clothes everywhere. It looks terrible, right?
Yeah.
And Rich does this a lot to see if it's echoing. I don't think it makes any difference.
Just
but
makes me feel important.
the most outrageous thing was happening. Cars, get this, in the car park where we were trying to record, were parking.
How dare they?
We were so, be honest.
Oh, I was like a kettle just bubbling, and I was trying to keep a lid on in front of Pete.
We were getting so angry. Every time I was having to re-record a line.
Yeah.
Because someone outrageously decided to park their car in the car park.
Yeah.
Or slam the door of their car.
Yeah.
Or talk. Some people even laughed.
How dare they laugh on a sunny, beautiful day?
Did you hear that guy who even did like a casual little flamboyant dun 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 on his horn? As he,
yes. Yeah.
We got so cross with these people and then we realised the irony that we were trying to record this thing. Rich actually prayed that God would make all the distractions go away.
Yeah, just before.
And I think at that moment I heard God laugh. So we ourselves are having to learn not to be like the guy listening to techno, pounding down the toll path there, but to slow down What is this life if full of care we have no time to stand and stare? So on that bombshell, with that little moment of confession, over and out.